Alright, we are back with layer 2 of the obscure conspiracy theory iceberg. This layer covers the following topics shown on the screen and is titled Knowledge Seeker. I think you will definitely find some of these topics pretty interesting, so I'll go ahead and let us get started with the video. The concept of plandemic is fairly straightforward. The theory originated at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. There are many that believe that COVID-19 isn't actually a real disease, or is potentially a bioweapon created by the government to provide mass population control. Many spiritualists even believe that the global elite used dark magic to create the virus, and those in tune with spirituality are capable of pushing back the disease. Another potential interpretation of this item is the plandemic video that came out in 2020, produced by Mickey Willis. This video more or less highlights what I've already brought up about the beliefs of the pandemic, but Willis does take things a step further by making claims that the pharmaceutical industry is also involved. This is due to the fact that the pharmaceutical industry could find financial gain creating a vaccine, and that the government's ability to restrict harsher guidelines on its citizens allows for the creation of a one-world government. This ties back into some of the theories we presented last video about one-world governments and the Great Reset. Didn't think we'd come across an item like this so early, but we already have one where I can't nail down exactly what the author's intention of this item was. Now, through my research, I did find a film that could very likely fit this term, so let's dive into it. The movie in question is called The Poughkeepsie Tapes. This film is based on the acts of real serial killers over the years, and it's presented to viewers as a series of real tapes discovered in Poughkeepsie, New York. The film shows footage from hundreds of tapes of a supposed serial killer's decade-long crime spree. Fortunately, everything shown within this film is purely fictional, but it is still inspired by many real serial killers. Due to the disturbing nature of this film, theaters refused to show it when it had planned to release back in 2007, and it was only first made available to be streamed in 2014 via DirecTV. Human meat in fast food does have somewhat of a solid foundation for this theory. It is not uncommon for food testing companies to find things like human DNA in fast food products, though these numbers are generally low. The most likely explanation for these traces of DNA would come from hair, skin, or
Burger King foot lettuce.
Now, this theory more or less slows and then gains traction every couple of years whenever a major meat distributor for fast food is raided by the FDA or is shut down. The belief is that many of these meat processing plants are mixing in the corpses of humans as well, but so far, no evidence has ever come out that can actually provide support for these claims. Now, you might be expecting me to say that this term is too vague and I couldn't come up with anything for the word trees, but you'd be wrong about that. Trees is actually in reference to the concept that the Earth used to be surrounded in what would have been considered megaforests, and that evidence still exists of these forests in some very famous landmarks today. The belief is that things like Uluru, the Devil's Tower, and the Giant's Causeway are not these incredible rock structures formed over millions of years, but are instead petrified stumps that remain of once giant trees that span the Earth. It is believed that all rocks are likely just petrified remnants of these megaforests, and that these forests were destroyed millions of years ago by ancient civilizations or pre-humanity advanced wars. Those who believe in ancient religions or biblical stories may also believe that these megaforests could have been destroyed during the biblical flood and were originally created for a civilization of giants. Now, this one is less of a theory and more of a biblical thought experiment that many use in religious communities. The concept stems from the basis of religion that God is all-powerful and within biblical text has performed miracles and done the impossible for his followers time and time again. But in the world we live today, how often do we experience true miracles or acts that could be not described in any other way than divine intervention? The concept goes further, that Earth and life as we know it is actually just hell. It puts a brand new concept on the thought of hell, as instead of being a place of internal torment, it is instead a place that is completely separated from God, truth, and real love. We are fully reliant on one another instead of any divine beings. I think overall this is a great thought experiment, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one in the comments. WorldCore was a very strange ARG that appeared on the internet that sparked a lot of controversy. The ARG made use of videos that many believed contained CP in them. That put the entire point of the ARG in a very bad light due to that. Now, early on, the belief that these videos contained CP was determined to be fake, due to the child featured in the videos being the creator's younger brother. Now, this is crazy to me because the child was depicted as naked within these videos, being abused, beaten, and in one horrible case, having scalding water poured on him while locked within a shower. Everything that happened to this child was completely horrible, and I do not believe that these videos can ever be dismissed, as no child could ever truly consent to these actions. For those interested in getting a full breakdown of what WorldCore is, I'm going to link a video to Eudoxia Mysteries here, so go check that out if you want to learn more. Fallout 3 Number Station started out as an internet creepypasta, where a player claimed to have killed the radio announcer of Galaxy News Radio, 3Dog. This action caused the player's radio to occasionally bug out and play random number codes and Morse code instead of the usual songs. These codes were translated into messages and initially were believed to be in reference to events in the real world that had yet to occur. Now, many of the translations are almost pure nonsense, but some more relate to potential real-world events. One translation is, "I can't believe that Britney's actually won an Oscar," which is likely in reference to Britney Spears. Now, each of these messages also contained a date as well, and that's where many of these predictions fall apart. For instance, the Britney Spears message was dated February 2023, but the Oscars didn't take place in 2023 until March. And even more obviously, Britney did not win an Oscar. Another example is a message predicting the death of Queen Elizabeth in March 2014. But this is also obviously false, as Queen Elizabeth died in 2022. The only examples of the predictions ever being accurate was a message in reference to the death of Gary Coleman and the BP oil spill. Both dates provided were accurate to the actual events occurring, so it is pretty creepy that the creator got two right. Now, obviously, people verified the game files of Fallout 3, and we've never found any actual audio files in reference to any of this, so we can likely check this theory off as purely fictional. So we got a bit to talk about with this one. The Biological Resource Center was a body donation center in Phoenix, Arizona. In 2014, the FBI raided the center and found that the owner Stephen Gore had been grossly misusing the donated bodies in a wide variety of manners. Some of the sites uncovered by the FBI included a bucket of decapitated heads, a torso sewn onto a head from another body, and a cooler full of genitalia. Not only this, but Stephen Gore pleaded guilty to the center selling the donated bodies for profit to companies around the world, regardless of the respected wishes of the donor families. Many families would donate to a center like this with the expectation of the body eventually being cremated and the ashes being provided to the family. The center was found to be cremating only very small portions of the body to try and trick families into believing that they were operating normally. Stephen Gore was forced to pay out $58 million to the donor families that he had taken advantage of. Now, the concept of a body being donated to be used as a cadaver, or for parts of a cadaver body to be used for research by different organizations, is not illegal. But when a company is blatantly not following expected protocols and lying to the donor families, it becomes a much more severe problem. Were-hyenas are a cryptid mainly stemming from East Africa. Now, these are a little different than werewolves, as instead of being originally human and then mutated into a creature, were-hyenas are believed to be actual hyenas that can more or less disguise or shapeshift into humans. Strangely enough, the general lore of the were-hyena does share some similarities between cultures. In Ethiopia, it was believed that blacksmiths were were-hyenas that would rob graves at night. The Sudanic people shared this overall myth, believing that blacksmiths in their culture were also were-hyenas that would stalk prey at night. The Greeks had a slightly different take on the were-hyena myth, instead believing that if a werewolf's body was not properly destroyed, that it would reanimate as a vampiric were-hyena. Leave it to the Greeks to take two already disturbing concepts and then make it that much more terrifying. Now, Omegle is a weird app. Being able to just randomly meet and talk to a completely random stranger can definitely lead to some horrifying outcomes. There have been plenty of reports of people finding things like stalkers, animal abusers, and just general creeps on Omegle. But the thought of finding an actual serial killer is completely horrifying. Now, luckily for all of us, what I have found on this subject, this just seems to be another creepypasta or maybe internet urban legend. Due to this, I'm not going to be going too in-depth here as there isn't all that much to cover, and overall it's not as interesting as many of the other real-world topics we have covered so far. But to be brief, the story is that users have come across a man on Omegle who openly admits to being a serial killer and details to people who they've killed and how. The story also goes further that people who've interacted with this individual claim to have experienced potential stalking from them since meeting him. Given how creepy the concept of Omegle is in general, I definitely feel that this is the weakest item on the list due to being so shallow in regards to available information. The Aurora Woods incident refers to this strange meme that started circulating the internet one day. The meme is 4 panels with the following text. 1. Have unquenchable hunger. 2. Lose hope of escape on a journey. 3. Stand among actions no man created as sirens scream your name. August 2021. The Aurora Woods incident. The image is definitely all around creepy, even with it using the troll face meme, but I was able to dig up some comments by the original creator of the image who specified that his intention was mainly just to creep his friends out, and that there really isn't a deeper interpretation. Okay, so modern day serial killers is a fairly broad topic and kind of hard to judge what we consider modern. We have big names like the Zodiac Killer, Jeffrey Dahmer, and John Wayne Gacy, who were major serial killers in recent years. Heck, I even did one of my college thesis on the mental state of John Wayne Gacy. But all of these people are fairly well known already. So I thought that I would try and find some examples of some recently convicted serial killers that we could talk about. A good example of this is Sean Michael Lannon, who was convicted for bludgeoning a man to death in New Jersey and allegedly ending the lives of 4 other people, including his ex-wife in New Mexico. After apprehension, he also admitted to ending the lives of an additional 11 other people, but no evidence has ever been discovered. He is currently serving a 35-year sentence, which seems shockingly low for the confirmed amount of kills of at least 5 individuals. Another example is Charles Rowland, who was convicted of shooting a couple in Georgia in 2021, and after apprehension admitted to being the cause of 7 other deaths in Georgia, including a triple homicide that an innocent man had been imprisoned for. Charles is currently serving 2 life sentences, which definitely feels more justified. As a final item, let's look at an unsolved serial killer from 2021. The shopping cart killer is believed to be a man active in the DC metro area who would lure his victims in from dating apps into motels to end their lives, then transport their bodies in shopping carts to dispose of them. A suspect has been apprehended believed to be the shopping cart killer, but so far, no hard proof has been found. So that's layer 2 of this iceberg. Definitely some interesting topics that we've covered with this one, with a few, weaker joke topics having been added in. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like down below, and if you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel. As always, I thank you all for your support. I am the Blackwood Archive, and I will see you all next time.